Most paint manufacturer fail because they don't know the system. They guess the cost, they underestimate the startup, they waste money on the wrong things, and then they quit. Most people start with 500,000. That's depending on your own country currency. They also fail. Why some start with 5 million naira and still fail. That is to say, you can start with a smaller amount of money based on your country currency, or start with a larger amount of money, that is millions, in your own country currency, and they still fail. Not because paint is hard, but because they don't understand what they are building. They think they are starting a business, but paint is a factory. Yes. You see, now imagine this instead. You understand your real startup cost, you know what matters, you don't waste money, you build correctly from day one. That is what this training is going to teach you today. I run a paint manufacturing business. I train paint producers. I build a factory system. I don't sell dreams. I teach manufacturing reality. And today, like I said, I will break down the real cost of starting a paint factory in three different levels and categories. Now, level one, it is the home micro factory. In this level, what you need is a small batch production, manual mixing, and a small startup. In level two, the mini factory. Now, you need a monetized mixer, batch production, and local distribution. Level 3, which is the industrial factory. You need a high-speed dispenser, a bulk production, and a national supply. Could be in your country or neighboring country. Now, your startup costs depend on which factory you are building. Now, let's look at the breakdown for the startup. We have the first, which is the raw materials, which are your chemicals. Now, the starter chemicals are one, your binder, two, your pigment, three, your fillers, four, your additives, and five, your preservative, and of course, clean water, which you either get it for free or you pay. Now, the cost range could be from 300,000 naira to 2 million, depending on your skill. And when you hear me talk about naira, because I'm using the Nigerian currency because I'm in Nigeria. So in your own currency, you could just do the plus and minus. Remember what I said, depending on your skill. If you want to start with a smaller budget, then you should be looking at the 300,000 naira. So this 300,000 naira covers your chemicals and also covers your branding and some other things, but we are doing it stage by stage. So let's say this 300,000 naira to 2 million is just for the raw materials, which is the chemicals. Let's break them down separately so you can do the total and know what exactly you are going in for some persons that want to start smaller and some persons that want to start bigger. So it all depends on your budget. That is how a business is supposed to operate. I don't know what is in your pocket. I cannot tell you what to start from, but I can only give you a proper guide for you to know, okay, this is actually what I need. When I started, I will not lie, I started with just two buckets of 4 liters. I've told my students several times how I started my own paint manufacturing business. You understand? Maybe because I was trying to grow gradually. You understand? Some persons can start with 20 liters bucket. Some persons can start with 10 20 liters bucket. Some persons can start with 100 20 liters bucket. It depends on the system and the order. Like I said, if you get the proper knowledge, your startup does not guarantee your how big you are or how small you are. It only guarantee how you're going to grow successfully, and of course how more profit and income you're going to get as a business person. I keep saying it, paid manufacturing has the business side, not only the manufacturing side. Yes, you can produce. What about the business side? Why are you in that business? So you need to do the rightful thing. You need to follow the order and follow the system. So let's move over to the second breakdown, which is the equipment. Remember, I said I don't want to put everything together. I want to break it down so you can know exactly what you're going into. So now, for the equipment, we have the mixer, which is for blending. The price could range from 150,000 to 1.5 million, depending on the one you want. Now, we have the scale, which is the measurement. So the scale can go from, let's say, 60,000 to 150,000, depending on the type of scale you want to use. Then we'll talk about bucket, which is for your packaging. So buckets can vary from 80,000 to 500,000, depending on the product you want to produce, how many pieces, how many badges, you understand. Then of course we have the shift. A lot of people don't like making use of it, but like I keep telling my students, even if you want to start small from home, you still need to operate as a factory, because your dream is to grow. You understand? So now the shifter is for filtration. So it can range from 10,000 to 100,000, depending on how you want to start your filtration, how you want to construct it. Either you just want to use the just the number one, or you want to construct it in a way that you have to pour in your paint inside. Also, take note, like I said, we are all in different countries. Even if you're in Ghana, you're in different um, locality. Even if you're in Nigeria, you're in different locality. Even if you're in Canada, even if you're in Tanzania, even if you're in Kenya, even if you're in Cameroon, even if you're in Turkey, you understand, whatever country you are, we are all in different locality. So the cost of the chemicals or the raw materials varies. It cannot be what the price cannot be what is in this country in the other country. So that is why I say you should know what you're going into. You should just know this is the budget I want to use to start, and this is what I'm going to cost for my paint manufacturing startup. Are you going for the level one? Are you going for the level two? Are you going for the level three? You understand? I see so many people start with the level three and they don't succeed. I see so many people start with the level two and they don't succeed. I see so many people start with the level one and they are now in the level three. You understand? So let's move over to the third section, which is your space. Now, the space aspect is very important, but because without space, you cannot manufacture. So now this space, it could be from your home room, it could be your backyard in your house, depending on how the building is being constructed. And you could start from your workshop as well. Your workshop, how well ventilated is, you understand, and of course a warehouse. Some persons can turn a warehouse into their space, and they gradually grow from there and turn it into their factory. So your space, like I said, could be your home room, your backyard in your compound, your workshop, that is your where you sell your paint at the back, or your warehouse. You understand? You could rent a warehouse, you could rent a workshop, you understand? So now the cost could vary from 0 to 1.5 million for the rent and the startup. The reason I said is zero, because if you're using your home, you know that you're not paying, you're only paying your rent. You understand? So if you're using your workshop, you know that you're paying the rent for your shop. You understand? So if you're using the warehouse, you know that you're paying for the warehouse. So it depends. It could be from 400,000, 300,000. It could be a 150,000. It could be just a space, a ground that you rented, maybe for 30,000. It depends based on your country. You understand? And of course, the next section is the power. Very important. In this stage, I see a lot of paint manufacturer that now are my student. They ask me, Coach Gleaner, how can I start paint manufacturing without power, especially most of them are that are in countries where the electric have issues, you understand. So you could start with the generator, the smaller one, they call it a pass my neighbor in Nigeria, just the smaller one. And you can also start with an inverter if you have the money, you understand. And of course, electricity, you could pay for your electricity bill, you understand. And if you don't want to go to this power section, you can as well use your manual turning stick, which I also teach my students how to go about that, because you need to grow gradually. I say a lot of people want to start paying manufacturing, they don't have money to start, they just want to start a business, they are eager to do something to change their life. So in this process, when you don't have the large capital, you can start manually, you understand. Now, the last stage on the breakdown, branding. I see a lot of paint manufacturer operate without proper branding. You see, branding has a lot to say about your business. It's not all about creating a design, sticking it in a bucket, and then selling. No, there's so many things about branding. My students, they know the first thing I teach you is branding, the right branding. There are different branding for different businesses. Paint manufacturing branding says a lot about your business. Most of the times, I get people who just they don't know me, but they are drawn with my branding. I've told my students also the success secret story about my branding. And even my students, and even you watching, I know the reason you are glued to me is my branding. So if you're an already existing paint manufacturer, you should go work on your branding. Or you can as well reach out to me, and of course, I can teach you on how to go about a proper branding. Now, for this branding section, your bucket design, your label printing, it could be the sticker, it could be the merge, depending on the one that is going to push you out there to your target customers, because we all have our target customers. My customer is not your customer. Your customer is not my customer, because my own vision and mission is not your own vision and mission. We all operate differently in the paint manufacturing business. And of course, we have the business registration. It is not advisable to operate as a paint manufacturer, not only a paint manufacturer, to operate as a manufacturer or a business person without registering your business. I've also told my students a successful story how people lose their business because of business name registration. It is very cheap, it's affordable. You can, and there are other ways too that I teach how to operate. Then you register your business. You understand? So in this process, it could cost you like 150,000 to 800,000, depending on how many buckets you want to use for a startup. If you're using one bucket or 10 bucket or 3 bucket, of course, it's not going to cost you like up to 100,000 naira. Both your business registration, some persons too might want to register some, but I already advise, know what you're doing, know what you're producing before you register some. Now, let's look at the 3 stage put together, the startup breakdown, and the amount you are expected to use. And of course, you can do that for your own country currency, like I say. But if you reach out to me, of course, we can do this together in a more simple and easy way. See, paint manufacturing is a simple and easy process. The reason why most existing paint manufacturer are going round is because they did not start in the right foundation. They don't know what they are doing. They started in manufacturing, that is production. They don't know that there are basic things you need to start from. So for level 1, which is 500,000 naira, the starter factory, of course, is you have your home setup, you have your manual mixer, you have your small badges production, and you have your local skills. See, don't get scared about the price. I have to be honest with you. Most people start without this 500,000 naira. They started with 100,000 naira. Yes, it is possible when you know what you're doing. And that is what I teach my students. You understand why most people start even above 500,000 naira, because they have the capital. They are already into some business that can give them the money to start a paint manufacturing business. You understand? And some persons maybe had money they've saved. But what about you? You don't have money to save. You understand? And you want to start the paint manufacturing business. And you know that after acquiring the knowledge, that is getting the mentorship, how much do you now put aside for you to start? You understand? So in the level one, know that you can start below the 500,000, but I have to be honest with you. So you know that, okay, this is what I can start with. Now, for the level two, which is about 2 million for the mini factory, depending on how much you can afford. Like I said, don't get frightened or don't be afraid because of the price. So many people started even the mini factory without the 2 million. It's just for you knowing the rightful thing to do and how to position yourself in the business. And of course, getting the right mentorship. Now, in this stage, what you need is your monetized mixer, your workshop, and your box supply. Because if you want to operate at the mini factory, you should have it in your head that you need a bulk supply chain. I see some persons say they don't want to reach out to so many people. They just want to produce and put it in their shop. That is because you did not get the right knowledge and the right foundation on each stage. Even as a mini starter, my students, most of them operate at a bulk supply because there are things that you need to learn. There are things that you have to know about to operate in each level or stage you want to operate. So for this level two, which is the mini factory, like I said, you have your monetized mixer, your working shop, and your box supply. Most people did not start with this 2 million. I keep saying it. They started lesser than this. It's just knowing the right equipment, the right workspace, and the right box supply that you want to operate on. So now, the last level, which is the industrial factory, which is 5 million. And this stage, most people did not even start with 5 million. Some even started above 5 million. Some started below 5 million. Like I said, it all depends on how you want to operate at every given stage and what you are capable of. Don't say because I see this big brand, I want to be like this big brand. You did not know how they started years back. You did not know how they struggled years back. A lot of people will not come out and show you that struggling stories. They only come out to show you their success stories. Rome was not built in a day. So you have to start from somewhere. You have to start with the capital you can afford to start with. That's why a lot of people make mistake. You want to produce all the paint. You want to be a big paint manufacturer. The only thing you are seeing is the million, the future plan. You're not seeing the startup plan. And that is why after a year or 2 years, you can't find them in the business because they did not start properly. You understand? So for this industrial factory stage, what you need is your high-speed dispensing machine. You need a warehouse. You understand? Maybe that is where you want to operate at your factory. So many people are renting their factory space. I have to be honest with you. Why some persons that have acquired a lot of money, they've bought the land. You understand? And of course, you need a dealer network. Yes, and this is what I told you we teach. You understand? So for this basic 3 level, you should look at which one do you want to start with based on your financial stage. You understand? And that is how a right entrepreneur or a business mindset should think. Not because you see this product, you see this company, you want to be like them. You can even do better than them if you start rightfully. Now, let's be honest. Let's look at why most people fail as a paint manufacturer. The reason is that they buy chemical without system, equipment without training, bucket without branding, formulas without logic. They build backwards. Why factories must be built forward from stage to every stage. If you don't have the right system, what are you going to teach your staff? Or are you thinking that you're just going to be producing paint from your home or producing paint from your shop? You're not thinking that you're going to operate as a factory. You're not thinking as you're going to have a boss that is going to, for your transportation, that is going to supply your paint, your own boss. You're not thinking that you're going to have staffs that you're going to employ to help give people jobs. Are you not thinking about that? Do you have a shallow vision? Don't you have a broad vision? Don't you want to be like big brands? Then you should start thinking properly. If you want full training and of course the right system, the link is in description. You can check it out. Which teaches you how to start small, master quality, build system, then scale up. You see, like I said, you now know that we have 3 levels and stages. So which of these do you want to start? You check your pocket very well. You check your financial state, and then you know that, okay, this is what I'm good to go for. And then I grow gradually, because factories grow. They are not rushed. They grow with the order, the right system, and the right structure. Are you a beginner or an already producing paint manufacturer? Comment below. If you're a beginner, you type beginner. If you're already a existing paint manufacturer, you started producing, write manufacturer below. I want to know your stage in the paint manufacturing business. If this video is giving you value, don't just watch and go. Subscribe, give this video a thumbs up by liking the video, and support this channel. We appreciate all your support. Thank you so much for coming out here today to get this wonderful training. And like I said, if you want to become a real paint manufacturer, even as a beginner or an already existing paint manufacturer, the zero to manufacturing is where I teach the full system. The link is going to be in the description. You could go out and check the link, or you can reach out to me to have a free clarity call so we can talk better and I can advise you on areas where you need to upgrade. If you're already existing paint manufacturer, and if you're a beginner, I can tell you where to start from and the necessary thing you need to do. Of course, you know it's a mentorship program. It is not free. You understand? So thank you once again. Thank you for coming out and joining us in today's tutorial. Until we meet again, bye for now.